Hey,
How we
Coach.
doing,
Thanks for
guys?
taking the time today. We'll get started here with John McMullen and then Josh Tolentino.
Hey, JG. So what changed from those first two drives? Were there any adjustments or just guys tightening things up? And then how much easier does it make it for you as a defensive coordinator when that front four is getting home and you don't have to blitz that much?
Yeah, I would say they had a good plan to start the game, all unscouted looks, which we figured that they would do. But I think the main two things that changed were, we cleaned some technique issues up after the first couple series there. I think guys settled in a little bit better and started trusting their keys. And, we talk about alignment, assignment, key, technique. If you don't have those if one of those four things is wrong, it's hard to play, good team defense. So I think really it's a credit to our players. They settled down and started just getting back to the basics of that. And that's really pre-snap that we can control everything. And the technique part is post-snap, but alignment, assignment, and where they put their eyes, that's all pre-snap. And I think that we kind of settled down and did a better job of that. And then we got to some different things that we had kind of in our back pocket that we knew we were going to run, and got to some of those calls, and, they executed well.
Go ahead, Josh, and then Jimmy.
Hey, JG. I wanted to ask you about, Coach Nick Sirianni. He always talks so much about, his core fundamental values, and specifically he kind of walked us through what connecting means on Sunday. I'm wondering, after the game, what were those moments like, on the way home, being able to enjoy that moment with him, and if, any congratulatory messages that stood out to you, personally for you, and, getting your first victory in your position.
No, I think really, when he talks about connecting with the players and coaches, the coaches, coaches, the players, players, the players, it just makes, the good moments a little bit better because you're truly invested with the people that are on your team. And it was pretty cool for him to get a win his first game, and it was cool for the players. The players put in a lot of hard work leading up to that point. And with week one, there's always all this unknown, we knew we were playing Atlanta whenever the schedule came out, the beginning of May. So there's a lot of buildup without being a lot of buildup, just mentally, I think. And, when you go out and execute and get a win on the road week one versus a good opponent, it's pretty cool.
Go ahead, Jimmy, and then Tim.
Hey, Jonathan. What kind of challenges do the 49ers present preparation-wise, because they have two different quarterbacks with different skill sets? And are there examples in your past of other times you were forced to prepare for two different healthy quarterbacks? And if so, how did that go?
Yeah, the challenges with San Francisco, we got to be ready for everything. They present a lot of different challenges. They obviously have two quarterbacks that can possibly play that have been playing. I think the greatest challenge to playing them is this is a very well-coached physical football team. And we're going to have to match that intensity. They do a really good job of blocking. They do a really good job of running with the ball in their hands, creating rack after contact from everybody, from all the backs that touch the ball to the tight ends to the receivers. They catch and run with the ball extremely well. So we just got to have a good plan for with what we're doing with everything that they could throw at us. I would go probably, playing New Orleans a couple years ago, right when they kind of started with the Hill kid. You had to have a different plan for that. That's the first one off the top of my head that you go back to. But there's teams that, by which tailback is in the game, you have a different thought process, so which receivers are aligned where, there's a different process to how you want to play. So we got to have a plan for everything, and we got to execute at a high level to give us a chance to win on Sunday.
Thank you.
Tim, and then Chris Franklin.
Hey, Jonathan, when we talked to you last week, you told us to expect that basically everybody who was dressed would have some kind of role on defense. I think the question was about the secondary, but seemed to apply across the board on Sunday. Just curious, where you came that developed that philosophy and kind of what's behind it.
Well, the first thing is I think to keep people fresh. And we do feel good about the people that are up on game day that they can go in and play winning football. So, that's the first thing. The second thing would be I never wanted to have a guy that was up for 6 or 7 weeks and only playing on special teams, and then somebody gets hurt and he has to go in and he goes from 0 plays the first 5 weeks of the season to 70 plays right off the jump. And sometimes you can't help but when that happens, but I always feel like it's good to get guys snaps when you can get them snaps, if it fits what we're trying to defend and what we're trying to do. So I thought the coaches did a really good job of executing the plan that we talked about and that we had going into the game, and then also adjusting as the game went on, how it kind of unfolded, what our position coaches did with some of their guys. I thought they did a really good job.
Go ahead, Chris, and then Zach Berman.
Hey, Jonathan, getting back to the two quarterbacks the 49ers use, what are your initial thoughts on the way that Trey Lance has played so far? And with having to prepare for two quarterbacks, do you find that you have to take extra time in practice, try and prepare for two different packages? And do you think that's a detriment to you at all?
I don't think it's a detriment. That's just part of how you got to prepare for the game. There's not a lot of tape on this guy in the pros. He played a lot in the preseason, played some snaps against Detroit. But that'll be part of our plan, and we got to have a good plan for when he's in the game. And, our guys will be prepared with, hey, this is this guy's skill set, and this is how we have to defend him. And it's a little bit different than defending Jimmy. Jimmy, this is his skill set, and this is what we have to be aware and how we have to defend. And then when they make adjustments, we have to make adjustments. So, and we'll prepare our guys with the first start of how we're going to roll. And then if we need to make adjustments, then we'll prepare them kind of later in the week. Hey, here's the next wave, so to speak, of here's what we're going to do. So it's actually, I think it's kind of cool. Our players, they'll be excited to start. They're already prepping for San Francisco, but they'll like the multiplicity of how we're going to play this week.
Go ahead, Zach and Rob Kessner.
Hey, Jonathan, what type of emphasis do you place on third down defense, and what makes a good third down defense, in your opinion?
Good question. That's loaded, Zach. I would say what makes a good third down defense is get them third and long as much as you can because your percentages go up a little bit. But, I think it's having the ability of presenting different looks of third down, like how you align your people, what you're doing from those different alignments, and then, guys winning one-on-one matchups. And I thought that we did a pretty good job of that this last week. I thought, everyone sees, the D-line rushed extremely well. I thought they made Matt uncomfortable in the pocket early. We hit him a few times, and that just affects quarterbacks typically. But the other thing that goes into the D-line playing extremely well is the back end, what they were doing. So you talk about, the disguises of what we were showing, the coverages that we were playing. I thought they executed the coverages for the most part at a very high level. And then when the ball came to certain guys, we won. We won our individual matchups. So that's what it comes down to. Really, it's a matchup-driven game, and you're trying to affect the quarterback pre- and post-snap. And then from there, the coverages behind it, you're trying to, if you're not pressuring, you're trying to give the D-line one more tick of time to where they can get there. And then if you are pressuring, the D-line, when you're pressuring, their job is to get there a little bit quicker because you have less in the back end covering. So it's always, we talk about our guys rush and cover, cover and rush. So it's all 11 being on the same page, executing at a high level. That's how you play good third down defense.
Go ahead, Rob, and then Jeff McLean.
Jonathan, when you face a Kyle Shanahan offense and an offense that uses so much play action and misdirection, what is the messaging to your linebackers, your safeties, the guys on the backside about just keeping tabs on the football?
Yeah, we broke a staff meeting now here, and that was kind of the last thing we just talked about was you have to, whatever your job is within the defense, you have to look at the right thing. And why they do a lot of the reasoning behind what they do, what you see all the motions and the adjustments and all these people moving around and all these looks are different is to get your eyes in the wrong spot, and then they take advantage of that. So, we have to be in a phone booth of what we're looking at because this is my guy that's going to tell me what I have to do. And then from there, you have to practice it the correct way. And you got to keep reiterating to our guys, shrink your world, shrink your lens. You don't have to see everything. You don't have to see the big picture. Some guys do, but not a lot of them. So if you're a guy that just needs to look right here, look right here. Don't worry about where 44 is going. Don't worry about what the quarterback's doing. Don't worry about Debo running across the formation. You just look at this guy right there. So, and that's how you're going to win your individual matchup. So I think a lot of it's just, shrinking it down for our guys. This is where you put your eyes and this is how you play. And from there, it's football. I mean, there's no call that we're going to call that's like the perfect magic call versus Kyle Shanahan. Like, it's our guys executing at a high level, destroying blocks, tackling, covering. That's what the game comes down to.
Okay, we have time for 2 more, so we'll go to Jeff and then Dave Zangaro.
JG, Jayvon Hargrave clearly had a good game, and the numbers backed it up and what we saw live. But how did the film bear off for him? And the other thing is, obviously, this is kind of an obvious statement to make that quarterbacks don't like it when there's a defensive tackle in their laps. But is there more emphasis being placed on those types of guys? Just remember it seemed there was a long period which was like ends and ends, and it was all about getting pressure from the edge rushers. Has that changed a little bit in recent years?
The first part of the question is Jayvon played really well, and we expected him to play well. He's been, he had a great training camp, the joint practices, he played really well. That whole unit, though, there's a lot of guys, when he was out there who he was playing with, Fletcher Cox, BG, Milton, Sweaty, Barnett, those guys are helping him be the best version of himself as well. Those guys are winning at a high level, and certain guys get a single block and they win. Jayvon had a couple singles because of Fletch, really. So they want to double Fletch. Well, you can't double everybody. So personally, I expected him to play really well, and he did. And I think the emphasis between inside and outside guys, you need all of them. I mean, there's really no premium on, everyone used to talk about, well, you need an edge and a good corner. Well, what we talked about way back when, you need all 11, all 22 to be good players. Like, there is no area of certain positions aren't ranked ahead of other positions. So I would think that he executed, and you'd like to be able to win from inside and win from outside. So when you have the people to do that, it makes, the quarterback's job pretty hard.
Last one here with Dave.
Hey, JG. When it comes to the defensive line rotation, how much of that is predetermined going into a game and how much is dictated by the flow of it?
A little bit of both. So we had kind of a number in our head as a staff where we wanted to see everybody. And then the flow of the game, that's a great question. The flow of the game kind of dictates if you can stay with that plan or if you have to deviate a little bit. So, I thought Tracy and Wash did an excellent job. You've heard me say that before. We had 10 D linemen up and they all played. And, it keeps those guys fresh. You see the effort that they're giving out there in the run and pass game. And, it's a little bit different from those guys because every snap, they got hands on them, where in the back end, it's not always like that. So, and they're bigger guys. So like that position, like it's hard for big guys that what they're doing every snap, in my opinion, it's hard for them to do that 60 plus plays. So you know, we always want to keep our guys kind of, all of them are playing, and we want to keep them fresh. So that's what we try to do. And I thought the coaches, but understand that's hard for the coaches to do that, because we have different packages. The flow of the game's a little bit different. And like I said, Coach Rocker and Coach Washburn did a really good job with that, because it came out basically how we as a staff wanted it to come out.
All right. Thanks for the time, Coach.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you.